All right, you and I both know this one felt different. Coming into this game we had that hole, the one everyone kept calling a canyon. But what we watched today was the team stop digging and start patching. The fish report card? It's not a shrug, it's a headline. An A for the day, and that's not handed out lightly. You saw a team that forced a lot of things to go their way, and when enough key things click, ugly math turns into opportunity. That's what you should keep in your head. It's not perfect, but it's back in the fight. Let's set the frame quickly so this whole breakdown makes sense. The fish took 5 categories into account: pressure on the QB, risk-taking, feeding your playmakers, supporting Dak, and error-free situational football. In this opening chapter, I want you to walk away with the high-level view. Pressure changed the trajectory of the day. The offense made bold choices, and the coaching staff took calculated risks that paid off. Those are the 3 pillars you'll hear me return to through the rest of this breakdown. You saw the first 2 drives. Dallas came out and scored fast. That start matters because it forced the Chiefs out of rhythm and let the Cowboys control the narrative. When your offense scores early, the defense can take on a different mindset. That's where the pressure game turned from theory into action. And when the defense got after Mahomes and created those sacks, you could see Dak relax into the kind of control that turns a close win into a signature day. For you as a fan, that matters because it proves the identity. When we can get after the QB and the offense responds, we're dangerous. Now, quick interaction. I want you to do 2 things right now. First, hit that like button if you thought that start was the difference maker. Second, drop 1 word in the comments that best describes your reaction. Relief, pride, still worried, whatever it is. That single word helps this community know how you feel, and it helps the YouTube algorithm get this content to more Cowboys fans. And while you're at it, subscribe and help us reach 17,000 subscribers. That goal gets us more breakdowns like this, and bigger, deeper fish reports for the next big game. Before we dig deeper into the defense and that pressure plan, know this. The grade today wasn't an accident. It was a combination of schematic adjustments, play calling that kept KC off balance, and players stepping up when they had to. Next, we're going to break down how the pass rush actually got home, who stood out up front, and why this matters long-term for the Cowboys. You bought the premise I laid out. Now let's unpack how the defense actually made that premise work. What changed was simple and brutal. Pressure. When you force the quarterback to move, the whole offense gets a different face. Today, Dallas brought that pressure early and often, and it showed up in 3 sacks and a consistent push that kept Mahomes from sitting comfortably in the pocket. That pressure rate, the kind that ranks near the top of the league when it clicks, wasn't accidental. It was scheme plus effort. Fronts that disguised blitzes, edge sets that funneled Mahomes into lanes where the interior defenders could finish, and timely stunts that got hands on the ball carrier. You could see the Chiefs' rhythm get interrupted. Their first 2 touchdown drives looked dangerous, then the Cowboys methodically took the air out of their timing. Beyond the sacks, what mattered most was how pressure altered decision-making. When you hurry a veteran QB, you get forced throws and tighter windows. That's when Dak benefits most. He doesn't have to win a foot race with a generational arm. He just needs space and rhythm. The defense giving Dak that breathing room turned into points, momentum, and frankly, a psychological edge. The roster moves and personnel choices that built this line deserve scrutiny too. The team talked openly about adding interior help after the offseason shuffle, and that interior push made a tangible difference today. There's also chatter about Javon Diggs coming back into the mix. Depth matters late in the season, and that kind of availability changes how coaches manage rotation and fatigue. Now let's be honest, the front 7 didn't win this alone. The secondary held up when called upon, especially in those third and long spots where pressure forced shorter throws and gave DBs a chance to make plays. Special teams and fewer self-inflicted wounds on defense helped, yes, but the core takeaway here is that when the defensive front earns its keep, it lifts the whole unit. Quick interaction for you. In the comments, tell me the one defensive player you think deserves the defensive MVP tag for this game. Name and one word why. Also vote in the poll. Should the front office get full credit for the defensive tackle additions that helped today? Yes or no? That's the kind of debate this win should spark. One last note. Before we flip to the offense, this defensive performance matters beyond the box score. It's the kind of foundation you can build on. Pressure becomes a repeatable identity if the scheme and personnel stay consistent. If you want the next deep dive, where I break down exactly which rush lanes worked, who set the edges, and how that freed Dak to operate. The next thing you and I have to talk about, because it changed the entire feel of this game, is the plan to feed CeeDee Lamb not only the football, but also the confidence he needed. This wasn't just about targets on a stat sheet. This was about psychology, timing, and understanding the emotional temperature of your star player. The coaches knew CeeDee had been wrestling with frustration, with those drops, with the weight of being the guy who's supposed to set the tone for the whole receiver room. And instead of shying away from him or spreading things around just to be safe, they did the opposite. They decided intentionally, actively, and loudly inside the building that this was going to be a game where he got fed early, fed often, and fed in high-leverage downs. And it worked instantly. 3 times on third and long, Dak went right to him. No hesitation, no adjustment, no thinking twice. That alone tells you the level of trust involved. And 3 times, CeeDee answered. Caught all of them. No yips, no nerves, no excuses. Just strong hands, clean concentration, and the kind of body language that lets you know a player is feeling himself again. When your WR1 locks back in like that, the entire offense looks different. It becomes smoother, more predictable in the good way, because everyone knows where the ball is supposed to go, and that the player receiving it is ready to execute. And then you saw the ripple effect. George follows that energy and turns in a spectacular performance of his own. 6 catches, nearly 90 yards, and a touchdown that looked like something out of a highlight reel. Suddenly, the Cowboys aren't just running an offense, they're dictating the terms to one of the best defenses in football. They forced the Chiefs to react instead of attacking, and a lot of that came from the commitment to lift CeeDee Lamb mentally first, then schematically. That's where good coaching shows up in ways the box score will never capture. Schottenheimer didn't simply call plays, he managed personalities. He walked into the week knowing his top receiver needed emotional investment as much as tactical involvement. That's something fans don't always see, but it's real. And when you get it right, you get games like this. Games where your 2 best receivers both play like WR1s, where defenses can't single anybody out, and where you're not relying on hope, you're relying on talent operating with total confidence. Let me ask you something directly. Who do you think benefited more from this approach? CeeDee, Dak, or the entire offense? Drop your answer in the comments with 1 sentence, explaining why. I want to see how you're reading the dynamic inside this locker room. And while you're here, help us push toward that goal of 17,000 subscribers. Every new sub tells me you want more deep, honest Cowboys breakdowns like this, spoken straight to you without the fluff. Hit that like button too. It helps more Cowboys fans find us. Now that we've handled the wide receiver room and the psychological boost that fueled this offensive rhythm, we should walk right into the next piece, Dak Prescott's leadership. The support he gets inside that locker room, and why this stretch of football is finally forcing people outside Dallas to reevaluate him. If you're ready for that next chapter, What stood out most to me was how Dak managed the game when it mattered. Not flashy, but surgical. Pressure was coming, windows were tight, and yet he delivered in the clutch. Efficient passing, smart pocket movement, and the kind of fourth-quarter decision-making that turns tight games into wins. When your quarterback can stay calm, make crisp reads, and finish drives in the red zone, the whole team breathes easier. That's what you saw. 26 of 37 for over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, a passer rating that screamed he was in control. That stat line isn't just numbers. It's proof that when the line holds and the playmakers get fed, Dak doesn't fold. He elevates the team. But it's not only what he does with his arm, it's what he does with the room. The support Dak gets in that locker room is huge. You can tell by how the offense rallied. Linemen digging in against a fierce pass rush, receivers running through tackles, and backs finishing runs. Leadership shows up in energy, in accountability, and in that steady hand when pressure mounts. This stretch of wins, Raiders, Eagles, Chiefs, isn't a fluke. It's leadership turning into results. If you want Dak back in the MVP conversation, wins like this are the fuel. Whether you're buying the MVP pitch or not, you can't deny the climb back into relevance when he manages situations like this. Situational football is where coaches win or lose games, and Dallas flipped the script today. Third down conversions were massive. 9 of 16 overall and clutch fourth-quarter success. And that's not luck, that's execution. The red zone was a mixed bag historically for this team, but today they converted when it mattered, including a gutsy fourth-down call that paid off. Penalties were an issue earlier in the season, but today they kept the big self-inflicted mistakes to a manageable level. Turnovers? 1 pick, 1 fumble, but timely recoveries and hustle plays, like the hustle on that fumble recovery, kept momentum in our favor. Those small things add up to wins. Quick fan poll for you. In one line in the comments, tell me which was more important: Dak's calm under pressure, or the play calling that got the receivers into mismatches. Also vote, should the team keep leaning into aggressive fourth down calls or play it safer down the stretch? Yes for aggressive, no for conservative. And while you're typing, hit like if Dak's leadership convinced you he's the guy to carry this team, and smash subscribe to help push us to 17,000 subscribers. More subs means more film breakdowns and deeper episode-style fish reports every week. If you want me to clip specific plays and show the exact third down sequences and pocket movements that defined Dak's day, this victory wasn't just another box checked on the schedule. It was a message. Dallas came into this stretch needing momentum, needing identity, and needing belief. And for the first time in weeks, you saw all three show up in the same game. That's why this win feels different. It wasn't perfect, but it was complete where it needed to be. Let's talk standings for a second. Coming into this week, the Cowboys were sitting at 9th in the NFC. That's a spot outside the tournament looking in. But with this win, combined with results across the conference, they're now legitimately in striking distance of climbing to 8th when they face the Lions next. One win, one statement, one shot to put real pressure on the teams ahead of them as December football hits. And here's the truth: they could still miss the postseason. That's the math. But today's performance moved them closer, not further. That's the momentum you want to be building heading into a Lions matchup that suddenly means a whole lot more. And let's go deeper. What does this win say about the team's heart? For 3 straight weeks, this defense was searching for answers. They got pushed around against the run, they lost leverage, they broke contain, they missed tackles, and they didn't look like the physical Dallas defense fans had been used to. Today, they fought. They played with urgency. They gave you reasons to believe again. And that attitude, more than any stat, is what you need in November and December if you want to survive January. Same thing on offense. Earlier in the season, this team struggled to finish games. The fourth quarter felt like a weight instead of a weapon. Today, it became a strength again. That tells you something. The locker room didn't fold. They didn't quit on themselves. They didn't quit on the coaches. They tightened up the plan, trusted each other, and closed out a game that could have slipped away. That's heart. That's culture. That's Cowboys football when it's done right. Now I want to hear from you. Dallas just put together their most complete performance in weeks. So give me this in the comments. Are you confident they can push into the playoffs after this? Yes or no? And also tell me, who showed more heart tonight? The offense or the defense? I'll feature some of your answers in the next breakdown. And look, if you're still here rocking with the channel, do me one favor. Hit that subscribe button and help us get to 17,000. We're closing in, and every sub helps us keep these long-form breakdowns, film studies, and live post-game reactions rolling. And slap that like button if you felt proud watching this team fight today. It really does help push the video out to more Cowboys fans like you. Finally, before I send you off, today reminded us of something important. It's Thanksgiving week. It's a time to appreciate the people we've lost, the people we still have, and the moments we get to share. Even if it's over Cowboys football, even if it's through heartbreak and hope. These games tie us together. They give us memories. And tonight, you got one worth holding on to.